Hello everyone. This is my behind the scenes channel. A lot of my main channel I think is reserved for more web novel content, but I want to talk about some of the cool web novel trends and technologies that are happening. I've been researching this since like June of 2023. I think I made a video before, like the history of web novels, but this is just a more, less polished version, even though my previous video wasn't that polished anyway. So there's some cool AI technology going on with web novels. China Literature, the company that owns Webnovel, created an AI large language model, AI LLM, trained on web novel content to help writers write web novels. I think it's a very interesting technology. We'll talk about the possibilities in a little bit, but I just wanted to go over some interesting piece of news. So one of the AI webtoon startups, people who wanted to capitalize on AI art, is Luden's Webtoon. They created three trial webtoons in like March or May of 2023. But if you look at their Linktree sites, a lot of their official websites is down. Their Instagram and Facebook don't have any posts. Their Twitter's down. So the company as a whole is just gone. It was interesting. I looked at some of their webtoons. It was okay. But yeah, they wanted to capitalize on this AI art stuff and it didn't go anywhere. But that was interesting. Um, Kakao, which bought out Wuxia World, they also run the site Tapas. Tapas.io. They acquired the beginning after the end. A lot of those webtoons. They also write web novels. Oh, the beginning after then is TBAT. Yeah, Tapas Entertainment. They do webtoons and web novels. They bought out Wuxia World and Radish, so that's in 2021. Their competitor Naver bought out Munpia in 2023. They also bought Wattpad in 2020 and um, yeah, Wattpad and Winfield were their main ones. But Kakao also bought Wuxia World. So one interesting thing about Wuxia World is if you look at the translation site Volare Novels, if you type in their site, volairenovels.com, it redirects you to Wuxia World. So they did get acquired in early 2024. So it's another translation site down. We saw this with Gravity Tales by Web Novel in 2016. They were vilified for that, which is interesting. Genesis Studio recently bought out Genesis Translations. So there are like two branches. You have the Penguin Squad. I'm actually a little bit confused on what the difference is between Penguin Squad and Genesis. I know Genesis Studio is the main one. They bought the branding and everything. Um, but yeah, so they kind of and Penguin Squad is their other site. You have Active Translations, another Korean site. This is what their site used to look like, and they basically threw in this beta. They wanted to do some startup stuff or whatever, and they became rice cakes. Interesting Korean terminology behind that. But yeah, so let's talk about China Literature's AI large language model. It's called 阅文妙笔. It just means magic pen in English. They discussed this as early as July of 2023 if you search up 阅文妙笔, right? A lot of articles come up from then. They actually discussed it in August of 2023 seriously. I think it was like in an earnings call or whatever. I look at Kadakawa, cover Niji Sanji a little bit, but mostly Kadakawa, Naver, and China Literature just to see what the trends are going on, what new anime is going to be released. So if we go to Yuewen, ir.yuewen.com, that's the investor report. They will tell you what anime they're going to be releasing that year. Same thing with Kadakawa. Kadakawa is one of the huge publishing houses. So if you go to their investor report library, they'll tell you exactly what's going on. So let's go EN. No. So Kadakawa, English, IR. Yeah, so they'll tell you exactly what anime that they're working on here. It's kind of cool actually. So for 2024, that's that. Oh yeah, they bought J novel. Library. Oh wow, okay, so that's just their recent. Oh, wow. Okay, Kadokawa went down. Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, so I looked through this report before. I think I looked through some others. They talk about some stuff. Hololive has an interesting report as well. But yeah, let's talk about Yo Miaobi. Oh, I brought that up because I wanted to show um, their PowerPoints. So here are they always tell you what they're working on. So these are the movies they made. YOLO, Joy of Life 2 is pretty popular. Um, Always interesting to see. So King's Avatar was really popular as well. Wow. Okay, some of their anime is kind of cool. So yeah, they talked about making card games and whatnot. Okay, so here it is. The smart pen. Don't look at the number. The smart pen thing. They discussed it very, very vaguely. They didn't talk much about it at all. But yeah, so if you really dig deep into the weeds, you can actually see some of the stuff they're releasing. Yeah, Weird Immortal Taoists, they released that. But yeah, Magic Pen, the large language model. So they discussed how it would work similar to ChatGPT because it's entirely trained on web novel content. Um, it can help you summarize certain chapters. It's very weak according to this report, and I kind of trust it as well. You'd have to go to their site itself to see how it works. And I'm pretty sure it's like beta test locked or whatever. Under their application. So that's the writer's assistant. But it's basically a specialized ChatGPT model similar to Copilot, where it helps you summarize contents. And it's trained on a lot of web novel content, so it should be more specific. But as you can see from a lot of the people who wrote articles about this, it's not super good at reading through content. Like on the English side, you have Claude, Anthropic support, and ChatGPT, where it like goes through books very well, but like summarizing and training it on that data, it's a little bit weaker. It's bad on summarizing. So it has all the web novel content and it's almost entirely in Chinese because it's, Chinese AI large language model. There's a couple, right? You have Alibaba's, you have Baidu's, those are like the two big ones. And you have like the Dark Side of the Moon or whatever. That's another AI tech company, um, or AI large language model. But what's really cool is how it can take text and generate images, right? A lot of Stable Diffusion or AI image um, text to image, like similar to Copilot, Designer, or whatever, uses English. This one's a full Chinese input, and some of their art is actually really good. So if you look at their art quality, let's actually translate this to English. Um, this is their art style. And if I look at the art style, I instantly think of a couple. Cetus is kind of interesting. It's a really nice model. A lot of AI art is trained on this anything data set, right? Anything V3, anything V4, some of their more models, but this particular art style, right? When I look at something like this, I'm thinking that it runs like a sort of anything counterfeit sort of style in terms of that watercolor, the type of reds or like the way it's not super clear, right? Otherwise, it's running this sort of pastel, right? Because it has that watercolor blurry brush style to it, and I'll explain more in a little bit. Some of the other versions, right? Mana Pastel is based on Mana Mix as um, the base model. Other models it would be something similar to like Animagine. That's another popular AI art model. But yeah, anyway, back to the article, right? What's really cool is that when you select a specific passage of text for authors, you can generate art. And so it's this art that really reminded me of that sort of watercolor, like soft brush strokes, pastel sort of AI model. And what's really cool is that because this is an app integrated feature, this is a mobile app, that it is going to like add more visuals to a web novel because right now web novels all text, right? Similar to how Webtoons has music, right? Let's go to something like Unordinary has music, or Anasuma Nawara. Unordinary's music, the musician for that is really cool actually. I forget his name. Yeah, Kenny Music. Um, they've integrated music into webtoons, which I think is really cool. So let's go to number 26. If you see this button, you can, play music while reading, which is a really cool feature of that. Kenny Music is one of the popular music artists. It's kind of cool. Um, but yeah, it's really making reading a more interactive thing where we're kind of getting closer from web novels and light novels to manga, right? And like how you're incorporating a lot of these AI art into 3D modeling and whatnot. But yeah, let's keep going. Um, so AI is really a lot of this article discusses how AI is going to be used to help art writers become a writer's assistant of sorts, to help generate ideas, to think more cohesively and clearly, to generate points that authors want to hit, right? It's still weak in mentioning like the golden three chapters, which is the first three chapters of a web novel, in setting, story expectations, rhythm, and all that. But it doesn't quite um, make it clear for how writers are able to do that. It just kind of summarizes very weakly. And while its answers are generally ideas summed up by the community, it's not super targeted towards your story, right? As I said before, it's trained on the web novel data set. They have a lot of content to sift through from all the web novels that they've written. Yeah, I was surprised Katakawa, their site is down, so it's kind of unfortunate. And also, the reason why I'm sad about Ludens is because I think I have footage or video of it, but it never got recorded. But it's interesting to see how they discuss how AI large language models will assist with web novels. So it's really positioned as an assistant because we're nowhere near AGI, artificial general intelligence, right? Maybe it can manage a self checkout, but in terms of management, it's still very weak, even in the AI space and local large language model sites such as Mistral, Anthropic, and ChatGPT. That's the forefront, but it's still quite limited to what it can do, right? You have Adobe, but these are very specialized AI applications. But yeah, China literature, that's one of the ways they can promote their tech industry with AIGC. I'm actually very optimistic, to be honest with you, because large language models and web novels um, is an interesting space, right? If you go to something like Royal Road, yeah, you can use ChatGPT, but it's not very good. One of the writers I follow, Destiny Asuji, right, was using ChatGPT to help write. That's their site, by the way, to help write their web novel. Oh, their site went down. No, I forgot about that. Oh, I should have I'm so pissed. I should have web archived this. Okay, yeah. Destiny Asuji, they have their video and their VTuber. But yeah, they showed off writing with ChatGPT. Let's go to YouTube actually. You can probably find it. Yeah, yeah, see. Um Unfortunately it doesn't show their live. Yeah, but basically they show off using some ChatGPT features to do stuff. Cool VTuber by the way. But it's interesting to see how people have thought about it, right? 2022 they discussed it was the age of gold swallowing beasts, where the subscription model really and these contracts really took over the web novel industry. A lot of people are saying how AI is going to take over jobs, right? Um, and then you get really optimistic to see it's super easy to use, right? You want to make it accessible for everyone, and then you realize there's some technical skill to using it, right? And when you're generating an image, a high quality image, there is a small amount of technical skill. I will admit to make a high quality image, there is a lot of experience needed. Maybe not as much as an artist, but there is a little bit of technical experience needed. But it's an interesting tool, right? As all AI models are. And everything that China literature has been saying is that they want to use it to help writers write. It's an assistant. It's not supposed to generate stories on its own. I think if you generate a video on its own, an image on its own, without a specific idea or image in mind, it's kind of hard. It can help create ideas. It can spark, concepts, but I don't think it's strong enough by itself yet to do it. Some like trying to generate like a writing style or an idea, it can help the first process of like trying to get ideas to paper. But I think it's very interesting the positioning of how these AI large language models are going to change web novels. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. Anyway, as I said, I'm not that good of a content creator, so that's about it. I thought it was interesting to talk about, so get that off my chest.